So picture this scene, right? Because the text we're diving into today paints it just incredibly vividly.
Yeah, it really does.
And I guarantee you have been there. It is 11 p.m. on a Saturday. Let's even timestamp it. April 18, 2026.
Right.
You're online, you aren't working, and you aren't talking to anyone about anything particularly important either. You just have a few chat windows open. The glow of the screen is lighting up your face. There's some half-finished conversations just sitting there. You're sending a few messages, receiving a few back.
It's kind of killing time.
Exactly. A meme here, a quick reaction there. And on the surface, there's nothing explicitly wrong with this picture. But like in your chest, there's this strange, lingering feeling.
Yeah, that emptiness.
Right. You aren't traditionally lonely. You haven't
Yeah.
been abandoned. You have plenty of people to text. Yet, the paradox here is, the more you talk, the less connected you actually feel.
It is honestly the defining paradox of our time. And the material we are analyzing today frames it beautifully by looking backward.
Looking at the philosophers?
Exactly. Think about Jean-Paul Sartre. He famously wrote that line, "Hell is other people."
Right, which usually means other people's judgments are awful.
Yes, he meant that other people's perceptions trap us. But the contemporary analysis we're exploring today proposes a really chilling update to that idea.
Okay.
Today, hell isn't necessarily other people. Hell might be having this massive, overwhelming abundance of people around you right there in your pocket,
Yeah?
but absolutely no one who is truly undeniably present.
Oh, wow. That hits so incredibly close to home. You have all these digital interactions buzzing constantly, but none of them are actually touching you.
None of them leave a mark.
None of them leave a mark. And that brings us to the core mission of our deep dive today. We are taking these incredible philosophical excerpts and exploring a deeply uncomfortable question.
Very uncomfortable.
Is our modern society, and specifically the digital architecture we live inside, deliberately designed to make us lose the ability to connect deeply? And if we are being conditioned for shallowness, what on earth can we do to fight back?
Right. And to really pull that apart, to understand what is happening in our brains at 11 p.m. on a Saturday, we have to start at the foundation of human psychology.
Where it all begins.
Exactly. We need to look at why we crave connection in the first place and, why the brain is currently accepting such cheap, shallow substitutes.
Okay, let's unpack this, because clearly we aren't wired for this constant surface level pinging.
No, not at all.
I mean, we evolved in small tribes, not in global networks of thousands of passive observers.
That evolutionary mismatch is completely key here if we look at the psychological concept of attachment.
Right, like Freud and those guys.
Yeah, originally pioneered by figures like Sigmund Freud and then expanded by later developmental psychologists. Attachment is not just about the exchange of information.
Okay.
It's a fundamental biological bond built on sheer presence and safety. Like, think about a child navigating a new room.
Yeah, they're always checking over their shoulder.
Exactly. That child doesn't need a network of 100 acquaintances to feel secure enough to explore. They need one or two primary caregivers who are consistently, undeniably present.
People who don't just physically leave or emotionally check out when things get quiet.
Precisely. That stable, deeply rooted foundation is what allows a human being to eventually form irreplaceable connections as an adult.
So we are biologically and psychologically wired for depth, not breadth.
We are.
But that's where the friction happens, right?
Yeah.
Because what actually happens in our day-to-day digital lives, we start having a conversation with someone. Maybe it's going fine, the banter is good.
Sending the memes.
Sending the memes. But then the rhythm slows down. The topic starts getting a little deeper, maybe touching on some real raw emotions or, difficult day. And suddenly, the moment that realness appears, we feel this spike of intense discomfort. It's like using an app switch as an emotional escape hatch.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
The moment the water gets too deep, we just jump to a different puddle. We swipe over to a new app, we start a new, easier chat, or we just scroll an algorithmic feed to sort of numb out.
That puddle analogy perfectly captures the evasion tactic at play here, and what's fascinating is how accurately philosophers predicted this behavioral loop long before smartphones even existed.
Really? Like who?
Well, Sartre, for one. He argued that staying in a relationship, like truly being present with another human being, requires you to allow yourself to be seen.
You have to be exposed.
Yes, and being exposed is inherently deeply uncomfortable. It requires a tremendous amount of psychic energy.
Wow, yeah.
So when you jump from app to app or from
Right.
conversation to conversation, the second the tension rises, you are evading that exposure. You are managing the distance.
We're running away from being perceived.
Yeah.
Because, being perceived means we can be judged.
Exactly. And Friedrich Nietzsche takes this underlying fear a step further. He pointed out that humans do not just fear physical pain or, external threats.
What are we actually terrified of then?
What we are truly terrified of is being seen on the inside. Yeah. When you connect deeply with someone, you cross a threshold. You are no longer just sharing curated information or clever observations. You are sharing your actual self.
And that carries an enormous amount of risk.
A huge amount. You risk being misunderstood, you risk being judged, or perhaps most terrifyingly, you risk facing outright rejection after you've shown your true face.
Right. And our brains are survival machines.
Yeah,
They are incredibly efficient at avoiding risk.
exactly.
So the brain essentially runs a cost-benefit analysis. It's presented with the option of a deep connection, which is fraught with emotional peril and potential rejection,
Right?
or a fast, painless, low-risk, shallow connection. And it chooses the shallow route.
Every time.
It chooses the path of least resistance because it still gives us the baseline feeling of not being entirely alone, but we refuse to pay the emotional toll of actually being with someone.
That tension is the exact absurdity Albert Camus wrote about. We are walking contradictions, you know? We desperately want to be understood, to feel seen by the universe, but we are absolutely terrified of revealing ourselves to make that possible.
We want the warmth, but we don't want to get burned.
Right. We want the warmth of being close to others, but we refuse to be vulnerable enough to let the fire touch us. So we collectively create this modern middle ground.
A safe zone.
Yeah, a safe zone. We construct a new form of connection where we are just close enough to avoid total, crushing isolation, but far enough away to guarantee we never get hurt.
I buy the psychology aspect of this.
Yeah.
It makes total sense that we are scared to be seen. But wait, humans have been terrified of vulnerability and rejection for thousands of years.
Right, it's not new.
We've always had this defense mechanism. So why does it feel like this is an absolute epidemic right now?
That is the big question.
Why is it suddenly the default setting for the entire world? If this is just an individual psychological quirk, why are we all sitting at 11 p.m. staring at screens, feeling the exact same emptiness?
And that is the pivotal transition the source material makes. We have to zoom out from individual psychology and look at the actual social architecture of the world we've built.
Okay, the systems.
Yes. If we apply the lens of Karl Marx here, and keep in mind we're just looking at his framework for how systems operate.
Right, as the text presents it.
Exactly. He argued that any system will naturally prioritize, cultivate, and reward whatever creates value within that specific system.
Okay, makes sense.
So in an agrarian society, the system prioritizes land and physical labor. In our modern digital society, value is defined entirely by attention.
Right, eyeballs on screens.
But it's crucial to understand the system does not value deep, prolonged, thoughtful attention. That isn't profitable.
Because that doesn't generate clicks.
Exactly. What is profitable are constant, short, repeated bursts of attention.
Because that's what keeps you scrolling. I mean, you don't serve a new ad to someone who is staring thoughtfully at a single profound paragraph for 10 minutes.
No, you don't.
You serve ads to the person who is flicking their thumb every 3 seconds.
The mechanism of the system literally demands high-frequency, low-friction interaction. The platforms you use are fundamentally not designed to serve you, the person you would have the deepest, most soul-nourishing conversation with.
Who they serve you then?
They are engineered to serve you the person or the outrage or the meme that will keep you on the app for the maximum amount of time. They remove all the friction, but depth requires friction.
Wow. It's giving us the illusion of connection without the substance. It's
Yep.
like drinking diet soda for the soul.
I love that. Diet soda for the soul.
You get the sweetness on your tongue, but zero actual nutrition.
That diet soda analogy aligns perfectly with Jean Baudrillard's concept of the simulation of reality.
A simulation, okay.
Yeah, Baudrillard argued that modern society becomes so saturated with media and signs that it creates simulations that eventually replace the real thing entirely.
Oh, like a copy of a copy until the original is gone.
Exactly. And in the context of our deep dive, what we are experiencing online is the sensation of connection without the actual depth, commitment, or risk.
It just feels real for a second.
Right. When a notification pops up, you get that physiological dopamine hit. You get the momentary feeling that someone out there is acknowledging your existence.
But there's no actual human presence behind that glowing rectangle.
No. The platforms have to create a ghost town that feels populated to keep you there. It's a hollow simulation of intimacy.
I'm struggling with this a bit, though. Are you saying I'm being manipulated without even knowing it?
Well, let's look at it.
Because when I open my phone and reply to a message with a quick emoji instead of a real thought, I feel like I'm the one making that choice. No one is holding a gun to my head, making me keep my chats surface level. I still have free will.
That's a vital piece of pushback, and the philosopher Michel Foucault offers a brilliant framework for understanding how we are manipulated while feeling entirely free.
Okay, what does Foucault say?
He argued that in modern society, power doesn't need to operate through physical force or coercion. It doesn't need to hold a gun to your head.
How does it work then?
Power simply creates an environment where you naturally self-adjust. Like, think about the actual user interface of your messaging apps.
Yeah, what about it?
There is no deep reflection mode. The text box is small. The keyboard is designed for speed.
Oh, and you can see the little bubbles when the other person is typing.
Exactly. Which creates this false sense of urgency to reply quickly. You are placed in a digital architecture where deep connection is incredibly difficult to execute.
Oh, wow. I see it now. Deep connection requires time. It requires silence to process what was just said.
It really does.
It requires sitting in uncertainty while you figure out how you really feel. But the environment I'm holding in my hand demands instant speed and constant reactivity.
You're rushing to keep up.
Yeah. The system doesn't force me. It just makes the deep choice the hardest possible choice to make.
And we can understand exactly why the system is built this way by looking at Max Weber.
Okay.
Weber noted that modern society operates on a logic of pure efficiency, rationalization, and calculation. Society only values and rewards what it can explicitly measure.
Which online is, like, everything.
Right. In the digital realm, we can easily measure message counts. We can measure likes. We can measure daily streaks. We can track engagement metrics down to the millisecond.
But we can't measure feelings.
No, we have absolutely no metric for how well did you feel understood today.
Wow.
Because the system cannot measure depth or empathy, it mathematically cannot prioritize it. And over time, as Foucault suggests, you absorb the rules of this environment. You unconsciously adapt to the architecture of shallowness, prioritizing the metrics over the meaning.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because this architectural conditioning doesn't just stay trapped inside our phones.
Oh no, it definitely leaks out.
We carry that conditioning back out into the physical world. The source text gives this brutal, visceral, real-world example.
The dinner table example.
Yes. Imagine you were texting someone for days. The conversation's flowing, the banter is incredible, it feels constant and effortless.
You feel like you know them so well.
Exactly. And then finally, you meet them face to face. You sit across from them at a dinner table, the menus are put away, and you realize you have absolutely nothing to say to each other. The silence is deafening.
It is an incredibly jarring experience. And it happens because when you are texting, you have an invisible buffer.
A safety net.
Yeah, you have the luxury of time to think, to backspace, to edit, to carefully construct the exact witty image of yourself that you want to project. You remain completely in control of your persona.
But in person,
But when you are sitting in front of a real breathing human being, looking into their eyes, that buffer is violently stripped away.
you're just there, exposed. There's no backspace in real life.
Not at all. And Sartre had a fascinating observation about the physical weight of being observed. He noted that the mere awareness of being watched by another person fundamentally alters us.
Like we put on a mask.
Exactly. It causes us to change our behavior, to start acting. We instinctively adjust ourselves to fit what we think the other person expects or desires.
Because we're so aware of their eyes on us.
Right. Without the digital buffer to hide behind, we feel the full, unfiltered weight of the other person's gaze. And because we are so out of practice, the tension becomes unbearable.
So what do?
We don't speak our deepest truths in those moments. We say whatever is safe, whatever is conventional, just to relieve the agonizing tension of being perceived in real time.
Which leads perfectly into how we handle awkward silences in those face-to-face moments. Like, think about that dinner table scenario.
It's agonizing.
The moment the conversation lulls, what do we actually do?
Yeah.
We physically panic.
Yes.
Our hands literally itch to reach into our pockets.
Yes, the phantom phone grab.
We immediately fill that silence with a self-deprecating joke, or we bring up a completely meaningless pop culture topic, or we just grab the phone and check notifications that aren't even there. Anything to break the quiet.
That panic is profoundly revealing. Albert Camus would say that humans possess a deep-seated fear of the void, of true silence.
The void.
Yeah. When an awkward silence descends on a dinner table, it isn't physically dangerous, but it feels psychologically terrifying.
Because there's nowhere to hide.
Exactly, because silence forces you to face yourself without any distractions. There is no screen to hide behind. There is only you, the other person, and the reality of your shared existence in that space.
And we just can't take it.
We rush to fill that silence because we have fundamentally lost the emotional stamina required to endure it. We have been so heavily conditioned by the fast, frictionless, highly stimulated digital world that the heavy, demanding, quiet nature of real-life presence feels unbearable to us.
We've basically untrained ourselves. We've let the muscle atrophy. We've lost the stamina for just sitting with another human being and letting things be real. Because real is almost always quiet, unstructured, and a little bit uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable, and this brings us to a very bitter pill the source text forces us to swallow.
Oh boy.
As we've been talking, it feels incredibly comforting to sit here and blame algorithms.
It feels great, honestly.
To blame Karl Marx's theories of value, or the tech billionaires, or Foucault's environments of power for our collective loneliness. It feels genuinely good to say the system is rigged against us and we are just innocent victims of bad architecture.
But the text doesn't let us do that.
No. The philosophical synthesis we are examining absolutely refuses to let us off the hook that easily.
Oh, totally. The text pivots hard here. It says, sure, the environment is hostile to deep connection. The system is definitely rigged for speed. But at the end of the day, you are still the one holding the phone.
Right.
You are still the one making the micro choices.
Sartre is uncompromising on this point. He insists on the concept of radical freedom. No matter how oppressive or conditioning the systemic environment is, we always retain a sliver of freedom.
Even inside the simulation.
Even there, we do not choose the technological environment we are thrown into. None of us asked for an attention economy. But we absolutely choose how we exist within it.
And Camus agrees.
Yes, Camus echoes the sentiment. He warns against sugarcoating the harsh reality of our modern situation, but he equally warns against adopting a comfortable victim mentality and blaming the system for our own avoidance.
Wait, so when I complain to my friends and say, oh, social media is so distracting, it's totally ruining my attention span, the text is actually suggesting that I choose to be distracted.
Basically, yes.
That I actively prefer the distraction to the alternative.
Yes. That is the uncomfortable truth Nietzsche brings to light. Nietzsche would argue that we don't just live under the passive control of these systems, we actively collude with them.
We agree with the terms and conditions.
We agree with what controls us. We participate in the simulation willingly because, frankly, the fast, easy, shallow connection asks significantly less of us. It is easier.
Wow.
When you blame the app for distracting you during a dinner, you are avoiding a difficult truth that you chose the distraction because engaging deeply with the complex, messy person sitting in front of you was too emotionally demanding in that moment.
That is a tough mirror to look into. It means I can't just throw my hands up and say, well, the tech companies ruined society. There's nothing I can do. I might as well keep scrolling.
It ruins the excuse.
It really puts the burden of connection entirely back on my shoulders.
It does. And this is where the ancient Stoics, philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, offer incredibly practical guidance for the modern age.
Okay, some good news finally.
Yes. The Stoic goal is never to retreat. The answer isn't to run away into the woods, smash your smartphone, delete all your apps, and completely escape modern society.
Which sounds tempting sometimes.
Sure, but that's just another form of evasion. The Stoic goal is to live right in the absolute center of society, amidst the noise and the algorithms, without letting it absorb you completely. You live in the world, you use the tools, but you refuse to let the world make you fake.
So what does this all mean? For us, practically, I mean. If the answer isn't to throw my phone into the ocean and move to a cabin, how do I actually apply this? How do I fight back against this creeping shallowness on a random Tuesday afternoon?
Epictetus, another foundational Stoic, provides the framework here. You cannot control the fast-paced, algorithmic, metric-driven nature of the world, but you have absolute total control over your reaction to it.
Okay.
The practical strategy derived from combining these texts is a kind of micro-stoicism. The goal isn't to exhaust yourself trying to magically cultivate 50 new, incredibly deep friendships by tomorrow.
That would be impossible.
Right. The strategy is to deepen the connections you already have through tiny, deliberate, friction-inducing choices.
Right. The text lays out some really specific micro choices we can make to introduce that healthy friction. The first one is profoundly simple, yet weirdly difficult.
Which is?
When you are physically with someone, actually put the phone down. And not just face down on the table where it's still a looming presence.
Still in your field of vision.
Right. Put it out of sight. Just for a few minutes. Give that person your undivided, unsimulated presence. Truly listen without splitting your attention between their words and the potential vibration in your pocket.
It sounds almost insultingly basic, but in a world that is meticulously optimized for continuous partial attention, offering someone your full, unbroken presence is a radical act of rebellion. It breaks the simulation.
And the second micro choice directly addresses that terrifying void Camus mentioned. Choose not to fill an awkward silence.
This is the hard one.
So hard. When the conversation naturally pauses at that dinner table, just let it sit. Don't immediately reach into your bag of self-deprecating jokes. Don't reach for your phone. Let the silence be heavy and uncomfortable.
Let it be awkward.
Yeah, it's like building a muscle. You don't walk into a gym and try to deadlift 500 pounds on day one. You'd break your back.
Exactly.
You just have to hold eye contact for an extra 5 seconds without flinching. You just have to endure a slightly longer pause before changing the subject. You basically train your nervous system to tolerate reality.
I love that analogy of building a muscle because that endurance, that capacity to sit in the discomfort, is exactly what eventually allows the conversation to drop past the superficial layer and touch something profoundly real.
And to bring Nietzsche back into the fold for a final thought on this, he noted that a truly strong person isn't someone who boasts a massive network of thousands of digital contacts.
Who is it then?
A strong person is someone who doesn't have to constantly adjust, edit, and change themselves just to be kept around by others. They have the internal strength to be authentic, to tolerate the friction of being truly seen, even if it means having fewer but infinitely richer connections.
We've gone on quite a journey today. We started by looking at how our society genuinely prioritizes speed, convenience, and low-risk interactions.
It really does.
And we acknowledge that, yes, the digital architecture we live inside every day is undeniably designed to make deep, meaningful connection much harder. It profits from our shallowness.
Yes.
But the ultimate takeaway from all these thinkers is that you are not powerless. You still have that sliver of Sartrean freedom. You have the choice right now, today, to stop dodging real questions. You have the choice to stop filling every quiet, contemplative moment with algorithmic noise. It demands a deeply honest accounting of our own daily behavior. The text leaves us with a challenging question that I think everyone should sit with tonight.
Let's hear it.
In all the interactions and conversations you have each day, how many times are you truly fully present and how many times are you just there without actually showing up?
Wow. That question changes how you view every single interaction. And it makes me think, if our entire society is relentlessly optimizing for emotional safety, for frictionless speed, and for avoiding the risk of being truly seen,
Right.
then perhaps the ultimate luxury of the future won't be immense wealth or high status or maximum productivity.
What will it be?
The ultimate luxury will be the willingness to be vulnerable, the courage to step out of the simulation and risk getting hurt in order to truly know another human being. So the next time it's 11 p.m. and the glow of the screen is the only light in the room and you're surrounded by dozens of open chats, ask yourself if you're finally ready to risk the deep end or if you're just going to keep splashing in the puddles.